pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, good evening, everyone. First order of business is the approval of the minutes. You're probably just seeing these for the first time, so you might want to take a minute to look them over. This was from our meeting on February 1st.
Yeah, that month kind of went like.
I'll accept the motion.
Move to accept.
Second?
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstained.
Were you here, Nicole?
I just have to abstain as well.
Okay,
I was not here.
okay. Okay, so two things to discuss tonight. The first is planning for the public forum, which will be held on March 23rd at the town library. And the other item is to continue discussion of the 7-year action plan. So for the first item, Danny had sent me her thoughts about what we could discuss tonight in terms of preparing for that public forum. And we had decided that we would have several stations set up throughout the room. Danny would kick it off with an overview of the open space plan and what we've been doing, and maybe some feedback on the survey. And then we would go to these various stations that would be set up in the meeting room, manned by different members of the committee, and allow people to come and weigh in on the particular topic of that station and provide us their thoughts about what the open space plan should include that would advance those particular goals and principles. And then they would continue to move from station to station and provide their feedback along the way. And then there would we also want to think about food. We talked about providing some kind of refreshments for the people that show up, and have some kind of a door prize or a raffle or something for people that did show up. So in terms of the stations, we have a couple of thoughts here. An environmental station with the habitat map, and we would facilitate discussions on the environmental concerns of the town. There'd be a recreation station with the open space map to help facilitate discussions on recreational opportunities. There'd be an agricultural station to facilitate discussions about the town's agricultural resources and land trust properties. There'd be a positive feedback station, which would be a stand with a blank poster to facilitate discussions on what participants enjoy about open space and recreation in Dudley. What are some of their favorite facilities and properties to visit, and what do they appreciate about recreation in Dudley? There'd be an improvement station with a stand with another blank sheet to record comments on what participants dislike about open space and recreation in Dudley. Then we'd have a sign-in station with food and some kind of a raffle that we had talked about. So on the next page, Linda had given me her thoughts about what she would do for the agricultural station. She couldn't be here tonight because she's not feeling well. But she thought, I was planning to have at the ag station is information about chapter 61 programs, forestry, and some info on Dudley Grows Together, Right to Farm meeting, and some other ag-related stuff. So they have some handouts that they could present at that station, and she could talk about agriculture, what the Ag Commission is doing, and that kind of thing. So I think what we might want to do is assign a member to each of these stations to sort of, talk about that particular issue. And, welcome the people that come and, try to solicit their thoughts about open space and recreation in town. So Nicole, I think you're the logical one for recreation.
What?
You're the logical one for recreation, if you don't mind.
That's fine.
Doing that, we have Linda for ag. Unfortunately, I won't be able to make the meeting.
What?
I just found out I have some surgery scheduled that day, so I won't be able to free up for that. So, David, maybe you'd be appropriate for the environmental?
Sure.
Okay. Maybe we could do Danny for the positive feedback? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Or would you prefer, Jeff, would you like to do that, or Richard? We could assign Richard that one as well.
Sure.
Okay, we'll assign you for that one. Ed?
What would you like? Put me where the deaf are.
Well, we could put you on the improvement station,
Fine with me.
okay? And then we could put, and I'm thinking maybe Michelle could do the sign-in,
Yeah,
Sign in.
yeah.
okay?
She tends to remember everyone.
Right,
And she's very people-friendly.
right. So we have Richard who can roam around, I guess. He could pick a station that he wanted to go to on his own, I think.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, if we have a good turnout, we might want to have people go to maybe 2 of the stations and not all of them. Otherwise, it might take a long time if we have
Yeah.
10 people in each group and they're wandering around.
Yeah.
But if
Pick
we
a
only have a
station.
handful of people,
Right.
then they could go to each one, which would make everybody more comfortable in terms of being in a larger group. So we'll have to play that by ear depending on, what you think at the
Excuse me,
time.
and I think, so I'm just thinking about the sign-in food and raffle station being one station.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're drawing people in to pull them through the other stations. I don't know what your thoughts are about splitting that up, having a sign-in station, but then food and raffles, so that they have to go through the stations to get to
Mm-hmm.
the food and raffles, so it kind of draws them through,
If you
what
have
I'm
the
saying?
food right where the science station is, most people are never gonna
Then
leave
you
the
have people
science station.
congregating around there,
And
and
on
out the door.
Well, people are gonna want food when they walk in, aren't
And
they?
then
I
on
mean,
the off chance that
Yeah.
we do get a good crowd, you don't wanna have that many people crowding around Michelle, because they might be asking her
Okay.
questions about signing, where's
know what
this
I'm-
table, where's
yeah,
that
so
table?
just put it somewhere else, okay?
Yeah, so splitting the,
And maybe you have to go to 3 stations and get punched out, and then you can get food, whatever. Oh,
yeah,
no.
you have to punch your card to get to the,
Good for 1 cup of coffee and a
Yeah.
cookie.
good for a hot
Food's
dog and
at
a,
the end, and you
That
get
may
it.
be a good idea for the raffle.
yeah,
Get a stamp at 2 stations and you can enter the raffle.
yeah,
Oh,
get the raffle
that'll get
ticket
people to
and get
actually
it.
go.
Okay,
Even if they just walk by and say, stamp my card, they're
So-
taking a glance at the stuff that's up.
so we could have Richard do the raffle station then, maybe.
Yeah.
Sure.
Somebody should probably be in charge of that.
So we agree to split that apart. And I think it makes sense to have Michelle handle the sign-in and.
Okay,
And then she can maybe give direction to how how that works, you know, you can go and get
Yeah,
your,
most people are gonna recognize her,
yeah.
we hope. I can't imagine anybody showing up that doesn't know her. I mean, strangers aren't comfortable with women.
I know.
We could dress her up as the Easter Bunny too. You know, let's make it fun for her.
Okay, that sounds good. So food, what kind of food and where do you think we should get it from?
I think didn't she talk about, I think Michelle also had talked about, something that they had done in the past for, I know she got a hot dog steamer for the Christmas,
Oh,
Christmas tree lighting.
yeah.
But I think she had mentioned a local business that had made donations before, or that they had gone to, maybe one of the pizza.
Yeah, you don't want a lot of
Something like that. You wanna-
difficult stuff.
Yeah,
It's
you
gotta
want
be
something-
small, grabby things and here you Fritos and see you.
So would we have probably some water for drinks and maybe some,
Yeah.
some soda or juice or something, or?
Yeah, juice would be, and I'm trying to think of the cleanup too, we're gonna make Rich clean it up, so.
Yeah, and the fact that we're at the library too, we have to keep in mind.
Oh,
we
yeah.
don't want something that's too complicated
Yeah.
for food. So maybe just bottled water for the drinks.
Yeah, bottled water, maybe juice boxes, I don't know if we can do that,
Yeah.
I stay with water.
just
Yeah.
stick to
Yeah.
it. That's it,
Keep it simple.
Okay,
all right. Yeah, they should be there mostly,
Yeah,
For the
to come to the
exhibits, and-
stations, right?
we're just making sure they're hydrated.
Yeah.
So it's a health thing that we're doing. Could have carrot sticks.
Yeah. An apple and carrot sticks.
are there any groups that would do baking for this event?
Yeah, but baking's it's a big problem. Everybody brings something cut or uncut, and then you gotta know if there are nuts in it and
Yeah.
all of this other stuff. Cause usually, like even with the tavern, we put signs out, you know, these cookies have nuts, you know,
Mhm.
so that the nut people stay away.
Michelle tends to have some pretty good ideas about
She's been
handling
around
that
the
type of
block.
thing, yeah.
Don't put that down.
Strike that from the video.
We've all been around the
Keeping
block.
it simple to something like munchkins. Like
Uh-huh.
donut,
Yeah, that might be a
something,
good idea.
something that people can grab and eat one or two as they walk around.
Yeah,
Nothing that needs like plates or bowls or anything like
Right,
that.
Okay.
exactly.
You know,
We
something
don't wanna
easy
have a
like-
lot of,
The little bags of individual chips and donut holes, like just like snackish kind of stuff,
okay. Okay,
so that we can entice people by saying there'll be snacks. When you say
That
there's
sounds
snacks
good.
and drinks, they come.
Yeah.
Even if they're not interested, if there's free food, they
Right.
come.
how many do you think we should plan for? Top, we needed the worst, not the worst, but the best case scenario would be how many?
Well, considering only 106 did the survey,
Right,
I'd say about half that. So best case, I'd hope for about 50 people.
50
maybe.
would be best
yeah,
case,
I,
okay.
if we got 50 people,
You'd be happy, yeah.
one, they're serious,
Yeah.
because no one's coming out just to find out what our snacks are. So that would be nice, cause then they can make sure that we're getting their comments and whatever. But I would, if we went over 100, I'd have to
Yeah,
have a psych test at the end to see who really showed up. We would take 30 serious people, and that would be fine with me, you know, really drilling into
Mhm.
stuff. But 50 people, that'd be great, that'd be big attendance.
so for the raffle, are there like, things at Home Depot, not Home Depot, staples that you can pick up and, you know, for raffles, or do you have to sort of make something? You want somebody to write down their name and contact info?
You can get, you mean for tickets?
Yeah.
raffle tickets? Yeah,
Yeah.
Staples.
Staples pick up something,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, you mean if a roll
Staples,
of
Rolls
Amazon.
of raffle tickets,
Oh.
you can get those right at Staples.
No, we have those, we have rolls of raffle tickets.
Oh, we do?
So we do.
Yeah, I'm thinking more like prizes or whatever.
Yeah, no, I was thinking they're gonna sign up for the raffle, so they have to write down their name and
Yeah,
contact
it-
info.
You just do it on a short, on a running ticket thing, you know?
Oh, okay.
So you have two numbers kind of thing.
Okay, so you-
Two
But
tickets, there's
you
one-
don't even use that. They put their name on the back
Yeah.
and they throw it in something and that's all you care about. We don't need to know
Mhm.
who they were. We're not
Mhm.
logging them in and we're not registering people,
Mhm.
right?
Right. Well, no, we're having a sign-in table,
Okay.
so we are.
All right, so you sign in and we say, okay, here's your raffle ticket.
Mhm.
Make sure you put it in the thing.
Mhm.
All right, that works. But Michelle has lots of rolls of raffle tickets, I think.
We're not reinventing the wheel, in other words, it's
No.
been done before,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. And they just hand them to her and say, for the next group.
So getting to the door prize, did you come up with something, Jeff, for,
Yeah, so looks like I can get up to, eight tickets for the Woo Sox.
okay,
So, just need to decide how you wanna do that, they'll be grouped together. And, if we do, you know, a pair of,
Mhm.
4 pairs, or if you wanted to do two,
2 or 4?
2 sets of 4.
Might be nice to have sets of 4, right? So
Yeah, I
if
like
somebody has a
sets of
family.
4. Yeah,
Yeah, that's true. And then they can check with each other and say,
Yeah.
I'm really looking for 6.
yeah.
I'm only needing 2. and
Right, sure.
Whatever. Somebody's gotta go up and get the dogs, you know, during the game, so you have to have enough people.
They do have some other, creative programs too, and actually, they have some, town, engagement things, but unfortunately, that stuff was set up back in the fall, I guess.
Yeah.
So they have like, you know, area towns
Sure.
come in and then, they have, they make donations to, a charitable organization or whatever in the town that has the most people that show up
Yeah,
from the town, but
Hmm.
those are all, you know,
yeah, I'm
they
sure they
purchase
are.
the tickets
Yeah,
and do that type of thing. There's, public engagement that they have for, kids and stuff
Mhm.
like that, where they can go and walk the bases or run the bases
Mhm.
or something like that.
Mhm.
They call them, Yastrzemski, Yaz tickets or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like
Mhm.
$8 and the kids get to go out and run
Oh,
the base
Yeah.
before the game or after the
Mhm.
game or
That's
something
fun,
like that.
sure.
So, the Booster Club does a lot of
Okay.
different things with them.
Yeah, I think we're more focused on adults.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if we got people who haven't been there yet and go, all right, I got free tickets, I'm
Sure.
gonna go see it.
Yeah, that is
And
funny
find out
experience.
how
They did
lovely
it. It's a
it
nice,
is.
real nice facility.
Mm, it
Yeah.
is, yeah, I've been to a couple
Been
games.
a half a dozen times. It's
Yeah.
Great. And I don't know anything about this stuff, you know? It's just- Usually the people around me are there screaming and yelling at them. Really, really. So.
You're just there for people watching, right?
Focus. You know, it's not
Yeah.
just about the hot dogs that,
Right.
okay.
Yeah, I was at one game and I went up, I was standing in line to get a beer and I looked and Michelle was standing next to
oh,
me.
yeah.
So it'd be nice if we could actually get the tickets and hand them to the winners, but if not, we'll have to get them at a later date.
That should be possible to do because they're an electronic format.
Would it be a weekday or a weekend game we'd want? What do you think would be? Or do they just?
That's
Oh,
it.
they'll assign you stuff.
Yeah.
That's what we're assuming, right?
What would it be, a sort of an IOU, and then the winner gets to pick the games that they wanna go
Oh.
to? How would that work?
No, I think they're actually, they
They give you-
assign the game and
Okay.
then the seats are grouped.
Yeah,
Okay.
cause
Okay.
corporate sections are, you know, given out in advance and people have season tickets and,
Yeah.
you know, it's kind of,
They have an early
They know where they
purchase
can
program,
push.
they have a lot of corporate tickets,
Okay.
season ticket holders, and
Yeah.
it's,
and Pretty much, if you get a ticket, hey, just go the day that it is and
Yeah,
Mhm.
work around your schedule and
Mhm.
enjoy
It's a
yourself.
free ticket, so, you know.
You know, don't try to get all twisted
I don't think you
up.
can really get a bad seat in the.
I
No,
know.
because you're
No.
not gonna be seated anyway, you're gonna be up, you know, gotta get a beer, gotta walk over
Yeah, they have
there.
a couple of beer gardens that they.
Wanna
have
see
around.
this from that point, you know, and then there's actually a game going on occasionally.
Yeah.
Hear people yell and go, what? No, it's just
Okay,
it'll be a nice chance, I'm hoping people that win them, haven't been.
Yeah, and so and good question, you know, day, weekday or weekend or whatever they're at, they do have a roster with, you know, there's different events that they have where they do fireworks after
Mhm.
after the game. So, you know, they're supposed to let me know
Okay.
which ones were available as far as that, what events are going on
yeah.
Right.
at the time of the game.
I wonder if we're getting two sets of four, maybe they could be different days, so that if
Possible.
one winner can't go to that game but could go to the other game, they could swap or something with that? But if not, if they're all the same game, that's fine too, but just a thought.
We're worried more about that than we are about the trails, come on, guys.
Well, I think it's the draw.
Yeah,
Well, the
it is
hope-
what it
Mm.
the hopes.
Now, where do we stand with Chris Lindstrom
I
coming
have
as our
not,
special guest?
I have to talk to Steve Sullivan and
Okay.
find out if he's heard anything as far as that goes.
Do we want Chris to say anything, like, you know, a little pep talk or something, or just sort of stand in a separate area and let people come up to him and do autographs and things like that?
Yeah, I don't know,
It
as
might
far
be
as,
nice if he could say a few,
yeah,
make a
as
few
far as
remarks.
availability, I'll have to find out for certain from Steve if,
Yeah.
you know, if he's made any headway with that,
Right.
because you know, I know he has other things that he's involved with,
Right,
you
may
know,
not be free that
so-
night, sure.
Maybe we could get a poster of him, in case he can't make it.
Like one of those pop-up cardboard.
It'd be a big one.
Yeah.
Don't ask me what I had for dinner tonight, but it must have been gummies, I mean.
I guess. You're in rare form tonight. Okay. I think it'd be nice if you could say, you know, just a few
Yeah.
remarks and,
Yeah, if he's
Yeah,
there.
hopefully he's
yeah,
available.
Yeah.
yeah.
If he isn't, would he be willing to sign a couple things that we could raffle off?
Oh,
Again, I know, like I said, Steve Sullivan,
We'll see.
so he's,
that's a good thought, though. You know, football, signed football from
Yeah.
Chris would be
Highly
nice.
possible.
What's
and
that?
I know he's done, I know, you know, the reason for him, receiving the Walter Payton Award was because of his, community outreach that he'd been doing down south, so.
Right, okay. That's a good thought, too, so we'll see.
Sounds good.
Outreach, please check in on outreach efforts and remind everyone to help distribute the flyer. So I guess we'll do a different flyer now. We had a save the date flyer, right?
Oh.
So now there'll be a separate
Hmm.
flyer for it, or are we gonna just stay with what we've got?
Yeah, good question.
Probably stay where we. What is it?
I'll ask Danny if she wants to do a sort of a game day type flyer with
Yeah, so-
with the agenda, you know, how the meeting will be structured,
Has
et cetera.
Has Debbie done anything with this, Debbie Plaka?
Not that I know of.
Yeah, I think it'd be a
Oh.
good idea if we got it to her. and-
Suck her into it.
Yeah. No, I know she'd do a fantastic job with it, getting it out on,
Okay,
Facebook or the town's website or whatever.
I put it on the Facebook, the Land Trust Facebook page and the website too.
oh, good,
Yeah.
great. Anything else?
So is she gonna provide the larger maps than this, or?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So I'll get back in touch with her to get the maps and the easel pads and things of that sort.
Okay.
So the, what we'd use for a posting in any, regardless of where it was, would be pretty much the same format, same type of
Yes.
thing. So, do you want me to reach out to Debbie about that, or did you wanna do that, or how do you?
Sure, you can do that if you want to. Yeah, that'd be fine, thank you. There was one other station that we wanted to set up, and as you continue on, you'll see three colored handouts. So, through the town administrator's office, we've been working on development of plans for a new sort of passive park here at the town hall.
Okay.
So where the fun zone is, and then continuing on up the hill a little bit towards where there's some trailers that are set up. So the thought is to redesign that area to make it a much more inviting public space. We have two consultants working with us, Radner Design and Tom Benjamin from Wellnesscapes Design. And they wanted to come to the forum to sort of talk about the plans that they've been working on for this area. And we thought, it's a pretty good opportunity for them to have an audience of people who are interested in parks and recreation. So they presented to us last week three concepts to think about. We haven't really gotten any farther in terms of picking one and picking from.
You're on the.
Oh, sorry about that.
I'm going, breaking in.
Yeah, I know.
Or breaking out, I don't know. Okay.
So, just, I know you haven't seen these before, and they can explain it much better than I can, but, so you can see that, whoa, he made it.
Oh, I get the power seat here.
Sure, if you like. Why don't you sit over there so I can keep myself here?
Come sit next to us. Come on, Rich. We've had our shots.
Thank you for coming after your other meeting.
Yeah.
So if you look in your handout, Richard, you'll see something like this. We're getting to this right now, and these are conceptual renderings of a proposed park here at the town hall. So the first one is called Big Green, and going from left to right, the far left being West Main Street, there's a sidewalk and then a gateway coming in that runs by, down some kind of a walkway with pavers perhaps, with booths that could be set up for a farmer's market or other kind of event in the town. And there's there's a nicely landscaped strip labeled the transition zone, where you could have some seating, some shade, some greenery, which makes it inviting to kind of want to explore the area. Then there's a lawn panel, which would be just grass and open for informal play activities like frisbee or picnicking or whatever people wanted to do there. And then we have a public square with an amphitheater, which could be used for musical events, even ice skating, some kind of a performance venue, that kind of thing. And then there's a handicap path, which would meander up the hill to more of a formal play area with different structures. We haven't gotten as far yet in terms of understanding what those would be, but
Is that a playground as such, or?
Could be
Is that the thought?
could be a playground, or it could just be climbing structures and things that kids could go on and have kind of a fun day, just doing what kids do. And then there'd be sort of a natural area where there, you could wander through there and you know, just explore nature a little bit, and for kids, kind of just being in a forested area, kind of fun for them to explore.
Yeah. To be one with nature. To some extent, I don't know, it's not exactly like, but it reminiscent or brings to mind what we're looking to do next to the library in terms of that Crawford corner.
Right.
So,
We could have a trail between them.
between the two.
Yeah, there we go.
Well, there's somebody that owns chickens in between, so
Yeah.
we'll have to
Yeah,
get
well,
permission, I'm sure, but it's
some eggs.
somewhat reminiscent of that.
So the second one is called the Promenade, and you can see again, there's a sort of a transition zone along West Main Street, which has some greenery to sort of
Some of that, you know.
make it, you know, a nice inviting and welcoming kind of entryway. This one has more parking preserved, or would be set up where the fun zone currently is.
Okay, thank you.
Again, we have some temporary booths for town events like farmers markets, et cetera. So this one saves a little more parking than the first one does. The first one gives you more outdoor space to have fun and just to, you know, enjoy the park. Again, there's a walkway that runs through the area with some landscaping, some low-level lighting, that kind of thing. And then it goes into a public square where there'd be another amphitheater for past of town events, a shed where you could store equipment like, you know, tables or tents or whatever you might decide would be useful there. And then again, there's another handicapped accessible path that walks from the lower area to the upper area. Similar design of play structures and a nature exploration area. I also forgot to mention that part of the goal here is to prevent speeding of through traffic coming up Love Court,
Yeah.
taking a shortcut and just wandering through. So all of these schemes have some kind of a traffic calming way to, you know, direct traffic, so they keep at a slow pace, and because there'll
Does
be
this
more
re-
people wandering around here.
Do these really leave enough normal parking, or you?
There's loss of parking in all of these.
Yeah,
The first one, I think,
I
loses the
think
most.
I think the current parking count is 150,
wow.
and the
That's
first,
down here and up back.
so the first concept, the big green keeps parking for town hall business closer to the building,
Yeah.
and then it leaves more passive recreation area outlying from that.
Well, the Big Green, thinking elderly coming in for their little get-togethers, that just doesn't look like enough room for those cars to me. I'm just seeing a little along the front, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11,
Which one, the
15 on Big Green.
big green? Yeah, so there's the parking up against the building. And then there's,
Looks like 21 in the front total.
so there's 21 spaces there. There's parking that's retained up at the rear of the building.
Right, I'm just thinking, the senior center is stuck down there, and we can't be assuming we're gonna put seniors up a hill.
No, and that's why there's 3 different concepts.
Yeah.
I like them all.
I know, I do too. The third one is called the Ellipse, which I think is a pleasing kind of design. It's curvilinear rather than rectilinear. It's got a central water feature there, or there could be some other kind of feature. Doesn't have to be water. But we did want to bring water into the site so we can irrigate the vegetation that's growing, and there'll be lighting, be electricity in there, so that if people wanted to do some kind of a music event, we could accommodate musical instruments. But this one has sort of a nice circular shape for parking, so it makes it kind of interesting. There's more landscaping, more sort of passive, kind of just picnicking and sitting around and taking a break from work or whatever, having a smoke for those that smoke. And then there's a public square again, so that's a central concept here, to have some type of amphitheater where you could hold events. And there'd be some seating around it so that you could, it's not a big venue, but it would be something. If the seniors, for example, had somebody coming and doing an entertainment thing, then they could all go outside and get some fresh air and
Is the assumption here that the entrance to this building will increase on the other side?
No,
That,
I don't think so.
you think you can handle it with this kind of parking?
I believe so, and so the whole idea with all three concepts is to kind of create a town center type of feel.
Which we don't have.
Which we don't have right now.
Yeah.
All but one of them include a gateway, and the promenade has, an entranceway, but, an arbor or gateway at the front, at the front corner closest to the town hall. So there'd be, or proposed to be some form of a walkway, accessible walkway across the front of the building on West Main Street, and then potentially even be able to connect to the other town-owned property where the highway department used to be. So,
The one drawback I see with this promenade is it doesn't have that amphitheater.
which one?
Promenade.
The promenade. Uh-huh.
That-
yeah, it does.
It does? Where's
Yeah, it
that?
actually does. It's in the area of where the
The shed is?
shed is.
Oh, okay.
It's a square one instead of a round one.
Oh, all right, I missed that entirely.
So it's somewhat
Amphitheater.
smaller. It doesn't have
Yeah,
the same
it's
kind of
less,
appearance.
less appearance, I think.
Looks,
So although it provides for more parking there,
all right.
I think the ellipse, to me, looks to be the most attractive, or retains a little bit of the
Mhm.
other concepts.
Yeah,
I do like that.
Yeah. And it's different too. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not that
It's not
square type
just
of
square-
thing that people
Square
are,
blocks. You have the
Mhm.
amphitheater, and it's
makes it a little more, I think, appealing to people.
yeah, and it gives you a little bit of both passive recreation as well as the
Mm-hmm.
the playground area, accessible walkways between all of the areas, and then the for younger kids, crawling on rocks or
Getting into nature, right?
getting into nature,
Getting
digging
into
in the dirt or whatever they're doing towards the rear of the
picking
up
flowers.
where
Yeah.
the impound area is up in the back of the site.
Would they need an impound area, or they're gonna move that somewhere else? Probably need it somewhere,
It would
right?
it would have to obviously get relocated somewhere else, but
I apologize for being late. Is it our intent to put forth one of these as a proposal to?
No, we're
No.
in just gathering people's ideas and
Okay.
thoughts and comments. So it's not up to us to decide
yeah.
how this is
Did we
gonna.
want, I know we, with regards to the design out front, there was a vote at one of the elections. People could
Yep.
opt for whichever of the three.
Sure.
Is this something we wanted to bring to the table on the 23rd of March? And ask people, which of these do you?
Well, yeah, I
I
think
think
we're
they're-
gonna
these are
present
just
them on the
conceptual.
23rd
Yeah.
and get people's comments and
Yeah, I think we could
that'll
get some
help them.
input, but I think
Yeah.
these are just conceptual designs that we want to get a little bit of feedback from the community,
Yeah.
find out what their feelings are about it. And again, the whole concept is to create the town center feel, and
Right. Where-
Do we use that north, west, whatever door for this building during the day to any extent? Is that open or
No.
is that changed again still?
the second floor,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's an employee only.
it's an employee-only access door, but there is the potential to there's the potential to change that. I mean,
Sure.
I certainly can't answer for the town administrator, but
It was set up that way during COVID, I
it was set up
think.
that way during COVID.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, since we've implemented the security measures that have been put into place with the pass cards or access cards into each of the offices, all of the openings of windows are shuttered so that, you know, for employee,
Well,
security.
as a non-employee, just a guy coming in, you know, saying I wanna do business in the town.
Sure.
I used to use that entrance all the time, and then I got flipped down, and
Yeah.
I find this, not as convenient, you know, it's not as easy to get in and out of as far as I'm concerned, there's more activity.
Yeah,
You've
naturally.
got the Love Court problem where they're cut-throughs and stuff like that, so going up, bing bang, into the building, and you've got your immediate on that level, most of the people that you wanna deal with,
Sure.
you know, and you're out of there, you paid your bill,
Yep.
you've checked your assets or whatever, your assessment,
Sure.
and you're gone. And since that closed, you know, it's, now I'm competing with, traffic for senior centers, events, you know,
I
things that are
definitely
going.
think it's a consideration and something that, you know, should be looked at as part of the whole,
Yeah, I mean,
part of the whole concept.
if any of these go forward, I can't see them being, usable without going back and opening up the west side. Or east side, or whatever the hell side that is.
Yeah.
I'm so confused of
The other side.
the what, the other
The
side.
back
The
side.
other side.
Don't tell that to the senior center.
Well, I think you could call it the second floor entrance because it'd be pretty
There you go.
difficult for you to
Yeah.
enter the building on the second floor from the other side.
Right. And that's, you know, you're gonna have a lot of parking up there, and that's,
Yeah. No, I would agree. And you know, I think it would shift the focus of parking, obviously, to the rear of the building.
yeah.
And, it still retains a good deal of parking back there. And each concept has a, traffic calming, like Bill said, traffic calming effect to make it more conducive to pedestrian traffic and people that would be, using some of these spaces. And you obviously have to, understand too that you need to accommodate some of these features that you'd be opening up to with, you know, passive recreation or a playground. The playground until we were forced into closing it because of the issues that were there. It was pretty
Yeah,
well
safety
used.
issues.
It was. Well, one of the big advantages, and I don't think people realize this, taking the grandson there, I know for a fact, you had shade here. A lot of these other municipal playgrounds, if it's 90 degrees, you're getting the full 90 degrees in the sun.
Yeah.
At least here, you had a picnic bench was in pretty bad shape, as I recall, too, but there was something there, and there was some shade, which was, you know, hot
Yeah.
summer
Well,
days.
And it was the only one here in town.
Yeah.
What's that?
It was the only one here in town, otherwise you had to go to Webster, you had to go to Oxford
Right.
or Auburn.
Yeah. And you're-
Because all the school playgrounds, you can't go anywhere near those during school hours.
Right.
And now that they've got their Champions program, you technically can't go anywhere near those till 6 o'clock when Champions ends.
Oh, really?
You're not supposed to, they don't always enforce it, but
Yeah.
they're not supposed to let adults with other kids there as long as there are Champions kids out, cause it's like an after-school program.
We're sort of labeling this the new town commons, to Jeff's point, that it would be more of a central town park, a little village kind of situation. Nicole, do you think this would fit sort of the need for some kind of a
I think so.
children's sort of park?
It's very needed, like some central place for families to take their kids or for people to go for a walk where they know it's gonna be safe. Something doesn't need to be huge and a big trail, it can be something like this where people can just get outside for a half an hour, 45 minutes and get some fresh air.
Mhm.
I think these concepts are fantastic.
Yeah.
The only thing that I would maybe add, if we're gonna display it on the 23rd, are measurements for the areas. So like the big green has a measurement listed for the size space of the lawn panel, but there's no ballpark measurements for any of the other features.
No, so what you're looking at you're talking about the passive active,
Right,
flexible use.
70 feet by 20 feet.
Yeah, and so that's the rear area that's shaded. That's not the green space that you're,
Okay, so but like it shows 70 by 20, it'd be helpful to have
Mm-hmm.
sizes, because if people see this picture, not a lot of people are very spatial and can see that, oh, that looks huge, and then you look at the size, and
Yeah.
it's actually half the size of what it looks like.
Yeah, maybe just a scale along the
It-
top of the,
Yeah, just
Well,
just
there
some
is
kind
a-
of ballpark.
yeah.
There is a scale at the bottom of the page.
Is there?
So if these were done full scale on.
Oh, I see, right.
On a easel, you have the scale at the bottom, you can get a better concept as to size-wise.
Right, but I'm just saying for like the general public who aren't gonna have a ruler with them to
Right.
measure it.
So
It'd be helpful, so like
contracted with
where they're breaking it out, it'd be helpful to say ballpark size
Yeah,
60 by 80, ballpark
Sure.
size 20 by 30, just so people can get a better idea for how big it's actually going to be.
If we have these, he sent these to us in an electronic format,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So we could I could take those and scale them out
sure.
on the computer and
Okay.
get some rough.
Yeah.
We contracted with these guys to do this, and I don't wanna,
Yeah,
we
no,
don't wanna
don't,
generate another 8,000.
tell them that shit, don't go
To have
back to them and
measurements
say,
put on there.
can we add numbers, that's gonna be 5,000 more, 8,000 more.
Yeah, really.
No thanks, we'll do it ourselves.
Right.
Okay. So I think we can come up with some rough square footages and.
Even if it's just
Rather
ballpark, 'cause
quickly.
right now it's all just ballpark, so
Right. But
that'd
it's
be
certainly
my only addition,
nice.
otherwise they look great.
They're all kind of unique, and they all have some nice features about them, so it's,
Yeah.
it's gonna be hard to pick one, but I think it's a very good start.
Well, when you add what's going to happen at the Pearl, on that outside
Yeah.
area, which will be a different experience for your tykes. A quieter deal, they won't have the play stuff going on as much as the enticement to read and.
Yeah, this is a
you
place
know,
to run around and
Yeah.
exercise
It's a-
your lungs and.
It's a whole different.
It's more of a restful concept, if you will,
Yeah.
contemplative or whatever, something that's,
Yeah.
you're not gonna have swings and seesaws and monkey parks and that stuff, but they kinda go well together, and the fact that they're as close as they are is just,
Yeah. Well, you could, say, all right, if we have a half hour of quiet, then I'll take you over to the zoo.
yeah. Yeah, what this would do though, is you're gonna have a lot more traffic into this building, because that's where the restroom facilities are gonna
Right.
be. So, it's gonna mean you can keep the building open, maybe even more accessible than it
Right.
typically is now.
Well,
Especially if you got evening programs or
that may
something.
not, that may not be so either, because as Bill mentioned too, we talked about bringing in, water, electric.
Okay.
And some sort of a field house type of
Something
arrangement.
out
So
there.
He's showing a shed on each of these.
Yeah.
But,
That could be a
it
restroom or
would,
something.
yeah, there's potential there, that those could become a bathhouse or, some sort of,
Yeah, well, so I think
facilities.
parents would appreciate that. The kiddies get a little dirty and, they wanna truck it all the mud into the
Yeah.
municipal center here. We'll hose
So,
them
but
down
that's
out there.
That's a point well taken too, because there's a good possibility that a good portion of the time that these facilities would be being used would be in off hours from the town hall.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Weekends,
Yeah.
particularly, close, at 1 o'clock on Fridays?
I mean, technically, the police station is open, and that's where the John is, but I don't think that you're gonna wanna see all that traffic going into that empty lobby,
Yeah.
Got some issues there.
Looks good.
Okay, the next item is what Danny currently has for the goals and objectives, and just a couple of action items for the action plan. So she's encouraging members of this committee to go to their website and add their own thoughts here about what we should be doing in terms of action plan items. And you can see for goal 1, create and improve active recreation opportunities. We have the fun zone and the town beach to make more handicap accessible. We also have find a way to access the piece of acquired land on the Connecticut line, which we could develop into ball fields or make a connection from Ardlock Acres. For enhancing passive recreation opportunities, we have a trail along the river and Centennial Park, which would have some green space and an amphitheater, a walking loop around it. Also improve sidewalks by the cemetery, ? for preserving environmental resources, develop a new water supply well, protect the new water supply land. Don't have anything yet on cultivate resources to aid in open space and recreation improvements.
All right, I've lost the page here. There we go.
It's the one with some red on it.
Catching up, right?
Yeah, okay. 5, maintain the character of the town. Again, identifying Centennial Park with a performance space. 4, continuing to develop and promote agricultural resources, develop an area for farmers markets. And I think the concepts we just looked at would be an ideal spot for that. And then we don't have anything yet under the curate the development of the French River and Quinebaug River as destinations. And then I put together the next map, which is the things that I've sort of been working on or know about that I thought we'd probably want to have at least some of these ideas fleshed out in the plan a little bit so that we can pursue these kind of initiatives over time. And so I guess starting about 12 o'clock, we have, or I have, you know, a priority area of acquiring land around Shepherd Pond. The town just got a donation from Jeffrey Watkins of a parcel there, which is shown in sort of that tan color. And what I'm showing here is also in gray, it's the areas that the assessors deem as undevelopable land. So these are properties that have very low value because they don't have any value for development. So in a way, people are hanging on to them and they're paying taxes, but they're not really able to use them for anything. So my thought would be maybe we could get some donations of land from people that just don't want to be bothered with paying a couple $100 in taxes every year for something that they really can't use. So that would be a long-term, you know, as opportunities arise, maybe you have a chance to pick up some of this land, then why not? Then you'd have a nice...
Yeah, that Peter Pond, we had people constantly bugging us, didn't they? Or
Yeah.
saying, I have this piece my grandfather got and thought this was gonna be wonderful and it didn't work and.
Yeah, there's a bunch of properties in there, plus right around the pond,
Right.
there's small waterfront areas
Yeah.
that there's no access to.
Right.
Right,
Yeah.
So
And-
people are holding on to this.
Yes, they are.
You know, for what, you know?
cause we took some from folks, I'm thinking a decade ago. I remember them coming to me and saying, how can I give you this?
Yeah.
And I'm sure we did it, and I just don't remember. And did it just become, I don't think it went to the town. We didn't pick it up as part of the trail, the Slater Woods, or,
Part of it is,
yeah,
but there were deeded properties in there from way back when
Right.
the Slaters owned that property.
yeah.
I don't know how, I guess.
I'd have to ask the
you've looked
brains of
into
the
it.
family,
Yeah.
and she'll say, Ed, how come you can't remember this crap?
Yeah.
You were involved. What do you mean you don't remember? I said, I'm lucky to know that something went on, you know.
Yes.
But I remember seeing the layout of all these little tiny
Yes. Yep.
strips
Yes.
that had no access.
Yeah.
And I didn't
So
know
you,
how it
the
ended.
land trust acquired a lot of those somehow.
They did, but
Did you get them through gifts or did you?
it was before me,
Okay.
so it was
Yeah,
when he was involved.
yeah, we did.
Yeah.
I think we just took them as they came along, you know.
Hmm.
There weren't a lot of them, but it stuck with me as you need to put a batch of them together and then get access.
Yeah.
Or not. We didn't care. At that point, it was just, let's clean it up.
Mhm.
And if that's gonna be just land trust property, fine.
Mhm.
But
Sure.
try not to mix it with all these other people
Right.
then saying, I need to get in there.
Well, Peter Pond is, the shoreline is not heavily developed, so there's
No.
an
No, it's
opportunity
not.
to
No.
acquire land and preserve that
Yeah.
area as a water feature.
Mhm.
So that.
No, that's a great idea.
Then going along the right-hand side, you know, we've talked about, you know, developing a greenway along the French River. As Richard knows, in the approval of the Stevens Mill, the developer is committed to constructing a river walk, which would be a really nice feature to meander along the river behind the mill. with access out onto West Main Street, and with an opportunity to continue that through acquisitions over time as opportunities arise. And then I've called out the Heritage Park, and sorry, it's the 300th anniversary, not the 400th.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure that gets included.
Or Centennial Park, as we call it.
Yeah, I tried to find that.
Is it called Centennial?
You can't find the guy?
No, I don't think whatever I was looking at.
I'll
that
tell you
matched what
later
you're
how
saying.
to do it.
Okay.
For price.
For a
So
price,
it's
right.
not Heritage, it's Centennial?
Centennial Park is
Okay,
what we would be
okay.
calling it. not
Okay,
Heritage.
fine, thanks. And then the Newtown Commons that we just spoke about at the town hall.
Yeah,
Develop a canoe kayak launch. This is sort of the area just north of Brandon Road. There's floodplain area in there which is not usable. Seemed like it'd be a nice location to be able to put in some kind of a canoe launch, if possible. Develop contemplative outdoor space at the Pearl Crawford Library, which is in the works and is, moving along nicely. Improve access to the town beach and make handicapped accessible. We've submitted, actually, Friday's the day the application goes in
Yeah,
for a community development block grant project to improve access and make the facilities there handicapped accessible.
good,
So hopefully that will be funded.
yeah.
Again, continue the French River Greenway south. Pave the rail trail on either end of town. I've submitted an application, $500,000 to pave the rail trail,
Really?
with the Highway Department doing considerable in-kind support for that.
And what would they pave it with? I mean,
Asphalt.
you're, ask,
Yes.
Proposed to be paved 10 feet wide for the full length on both ends of town, so about 4 miles of,
as
trail.
easier walking space or?
So it would be shared use,
Yeah,
we
bikes
turn it
and
into
wheelchairs.
shared use
so
so
we
that
could have
you would,
biking.
biking, pedestrian traffic,
All right.
Wheelchairs.
Yeah,
I
wheelchairs
think we'd
makes
do
it
better
more-
on that than what
yeah,
you have
makes
for
it more
surface.
accessible to.
It's walkable, but it's not particularly wheelchair accessible
No,
or
definitely not.
No, it's a
bike
little
friendly.
rough, yeah.
Makes maintenance,
Sure.
much easier, and it provides.
Of course, the
access to-
people that live down there worry about the robbers coming in, but, never mind. Now they'll be able to pull up in their van.
So the key is, when you do this, it would be to a heavy-duty standard, so that it's accessible by emergency vehicles.
Yeah.
There'd be bollards, demountable bollards put in place so that, to prevent
Yep,
vehicular traffic, other than bicycles or something like that.
great,
And,
That's a great idea.
yeah.
Yeah,
Gotta
'cause
keep
it's
the
a nice,
ATVs
it's a
off.
nice
And,
piece of property.
looks like.
And we're looking for a grant for that?
We've made application for the grant.
It's a Mass
and,
Trails Grant program that I submitted an application for.
Oh, okay,
Oh,
excellent.
very good.
Glad we showed up for this meeting.
Well,
Yeah, just the fact that it's handicap accessible is really important.
Yeah.
Yes, I
Provides
agree.
for, it would provide for the paving full width,
it's gonna look something like what we have from the fire station to Mason Road Elementary then, I assume.
Yeah. exactly. And signage,
Yeah,
upgrade signage, pavement markings, that type of thing.
great. That's awesome.
And then the last one there is develop public access and prepare a plan for a new town park. This is the site that the town treasurer acquired for, in tax foreclosure. It's about 37 acres or so,
Really?
Yeah, it's a
but
big-
there's no
big piece.
way to get to it.
Yeah.
It
It's a
goes real
landlocked
nice
property.
with the Slater Woods piece.
No way to get to it.
Helicopter.
So we have to figure out a way. You can see there's a white, white on the map piece that
Yeah,
we could get an easement to for some reason, but, if we can negotiate that with the landowner.
What's that blue tail that comes out of there? Yeah,
That's a stream,
It's a stream?
yeah.
Okay, my eyes are not well
Yeah,
adjusted.
I have that layer on top of the water features, I think so.
Mhm.
So these are the things that have come up since I've been around, but you guys have been here a lot longer than me, so you may know of other ideas that we could add to this map. One thing I don't really have on here is trails,
right.
and I'd like to have a trail plan somehow fleshed out.
Right.
Can make some connections
Yeah, so
like
one of,
between your
one of the things that
properties.
we've talked about too is, there's trails
Mhm.
or, conservation land.
Yep.
But attached to that, as far as accessibility, there really isn't a place to park or to access it for the public, so to try and, move something like that forward is to try and find those, or like this parcel here, that isn't really, you'd have to get some form of an easement.
Right.
And then if people are gonna, drive there or come in, other than walking there, which most of them, like, if you take the conservation land down on 197,
Mm-hmm.
there really isn't a good spot to park, safely park or access the property,
Right.
Wheelock Woods?
Yeah, on the opposite side of.
Opposite side isn't even open, there's no trails or anything in
Right.
there.
Yeah, no,
But-
that's what I mean, but
Yeah.
there's conservation land. but
Yes, there is, yep.
Yeah,
It's not
there's
accessible.
there's
to
some
the-
signs there that
Yeah.
would lead people to believe that you could access that, I
Yeah.
suspect. But you take your life in your hands if you tried to park on that road.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't get anybody to insure you to park on that road.
Yeah.
And I've also noticed a tremendous amount of litter. I mean, there's a little bit of snow
It's-
covering it today, but
Yeah.
it's
It's
terrible.
horrible, and,
Where is this?
Everywhere.
Down past the courthouse, well, the
Oh.
town as a whole,
Everywhere.
people throw everything.
And,
Yeah.
short of that, that's state highway, we'll have guys that are gonna be addressing.
It's just, one of my favorite issues has been the question in regards to nips.
Nips,
I
oh,
walk
yeah.
the dog in that space. If you
Yeah.
go between the intersection at the golf course up to the church, I've counted over 30 nips
Really?
Yeah.
on the side of the road.
Yeah.
And I know there's a program in place that somehow control or restrict that, but I haven't seen any positive effect yet. I don't know. People just throw things everywhere. It's terrible.
Well, first of all, anybody that's stupid enough to spend that kind of money on their alcohol isn't functioning well. The fact that they're drinking that and in private and hiding it is not a good sign, so.
Well, then we can get into the open container law and a whole bunch of things that they're doing wrong. But, well, I don't know how we get around that, other than somebody starts getting some citations and has to go to court and has to pay some money and the
It's right,
agony.
the
gotta
trash-
get 'em.
The trash is horrible.
Yeah.
That section of 197
Yeah,
is.
but it's, we've got other pockets through Pierpont along your road here.
Here, fine.
You don't wanna get too close to some of the
Lower
stuff that's on the
Perryville.
side of the road there.
Yeah.
You know,
I will say, at Leovich, we've got a lot of action on that site.
Yep.
And it's dropped dramatically on the number of nips and other things.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know why. We put a sign up saying, please, pick up after yourself or
Oh.
whatever. And for some reason, it's dropped off. And it's COVID and post.
Mm.
So I don't know if that had some impact on it, or it's just the fact that if it's clean looking,
Yeah.
you're less likely
To do
I
it,
still
yeah.
get a contractor that decides to offload some sheet rock and stuff on occasion, and I go, yeah, well, I can't move that, you
Yeah.
know. But for the most part, it improved, especially the nip stuff, so I had high hopes, but maybe that guy just finally got cirrhosis and went away. That's also a solution.
It's a painful one.
Right. The
Not for
ultimate
me.
solution.
Not for you, I know.
Right.
All right, let's take this.
Anybody have any other?
No, this is a great map. I
Yeah.
like what you did.
There's a
Yeah,
lot
it's a
going
fun,
on. Yeah.
fun map to kick ideas off, you
Right.
know?
Now, the accessibility issues, who would the town attorney have to work through that in terms of trying to figure out how to get those
Down there?
permissions and easements? Yeah.
Yeah. We'd have to get agreement
Yeah.
from somebody to allow,
Somehow.
and if we're gonna use it as a park, you would need some kind of an access road.
All right, you would.
If it's
yeah.
just gonna be passive, then you probably just need a trail to get down into there.
But
The other thought was, Richard, you may recall that when we approved Lyons Estates, you can very faintly
yeah.
see
Does that connect up?
it might be possible to
Yeah.
extend the road down into it, but then everybody would be going down
What
Truman
do-
Drive to get to it, so.
What do we need to clean up the river? I'm looking at, as I go down towards the Chase Mill, there's the river is on the left-hand side, and it looks like there's a lot of trees and various bits of vegetation that are fallen in there. And it's just, it looks overgrown, it looks like a mess, effectively. I mean, what is is that the Army Corps of Engineers in any way involved in that, in terms of the
Well,
waterway?
it's EPA.
EPA?
Controlled. We couldn't go in as the French River Connection and pull trees out. We could only make as wide a path in the water as we could handle for a kayak or a
Kayak or
canoe
canoe,
or
yeah.
something.
You-
I mean,
in
very
EPA,
restricted.
That's actually the Corps of Engineers jurisdiction, isn't it?
Well, the Corps,
In the flood.
well, that's
in the
coming
floodplain,
down
that's-
from them, yeah. But we got smacked with all kinds of restrictions and,
Really?
especially in Oxford, Dudley, where the things
Yeah.
come together, and we
Yeah.
tried to clean up some of those.
Mm.
We had to jump all kinds of hoops to say, all right, we'll let you in. We were lucky in Oxford that one of the guys that's very interested in this was on their conservation commission, so he was allowed to go in and with certain saws or whatever, cut through those sections. But they would only allow us, they wouldn't even allow us to pull the trees to the sides. We said, look, could we grapple and yank them just to get them out of the way? And they were like, you gotta cut through them, and it was a nightmare of,
Yeah, it would definitely require permitting and probably from the Corps. And I've seen before where, like you're talking about, some of those dead trees need to stay in place because they're nesting areas or perch areas for various, wildlife
yeah.
or birds.
And when the
Actually done it.
tornado went through, maybe what, 5 years ago?
Oh, yeah, a little longer.
It went right through the river, from Dudley to Webster. And I have pictures of all those trees that were knocked in, and we weren't allowed to touch them.
Yeah.
We have to wait them out. And I went, okay, so you can't get through there.
Yeah, how do you
You
take
couldn't-
a kayak or canoe down there? You
No,
just can't.
you'd have to get out of the French River Park and trailer your whatever back down to below Chase Mills to get down to the rest of it, so. I mean, there are a lot of obstacles there.
That's too bad. That's too bad.
And then you got a place like, the one that really pisses me off. You have an auto supply store on the Webster Dudley line. And people come in to get oil for their car. They'll change it there in the guy's parking lot
Yeah.
practically. And they're just throwing their stuff over the banking.
Oh,
And it's just cascading right down into the river. You know? Not everyone's
horrible.
blessed with a brain.
yeah. Guess we need some education in this plan too.
I asked that company, I said, just put a fence up there so they can't do that. Well, we'd have to talk to corporate.
But if you sell oil, don't you have to accept the waste oil?
Right.
Yeah, so they take it
Yeah.
and then they store it outside next to the building.
That
I've seen it with other stores
Yeah,
too, it's
yeah,
ridiculous.
and I don't care, and it's all seeping.
storage containers over
No.
time corrode and rust and
No,
leak.
in
Open.
gallon jugs or quart jugs that they've purchased it in and
They
sitting
just
out,
leave it there as such, yeah.
Yep.
sitting out on the side of the building.
Yeah.
Where's the
Yeah.
Corps of
Seems like a
Engineers on
real-
that?
Real poor plan,
They only come when they want.
Oh, that's too bad.
All right, no more bad news. Good news, come on, what else we got?
That's it for tonight.
We do love your little map. I'm gonna look this over
Because the
carefully.
dream
Okay.
was that if we get the Stevens limit part of the river, and we could connect with the guys down there at the Chase Mill,
Exactly.
somehow we get what's in
Yes.
the middle
Right.
to step up
Yeah.
and clean up. And from what you're saying, that sounds.
It would
probably the
require
hardest part.
permitting, require permitting, it's not impossible, but the Army Corps of Engineers moves very slow and,
Very.
if you came up with a concept and presented to them, you could fully expect it, a minimum of about a
But
year.
each little piece that we get of this, the Webster Park now, it's still creeping along, which is wonderful. Stevens Mill has said they're going to do something there.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. Each one of those builds, and it may not be in
I
our
know, I
lifetime.
know. Oh, it's a connect the dots kind of situation, as best
Yes,
you can
yeah.
get them to be dots.
Yep.
Wow, that's interesting. It's a nice little map here.
What else can we do for you, kid? You bet.
I'm out of ideas. You got anything else?
Looking forward to it.
So we've got the big event on the 23rd.
Yep.
Brush up.
Do we need anything else
Oh,
from the
we signed
library? Is
something-
Danny all set with Drusilla in the library, or do we have any issues still outstanding there?
I think Drusilla's okay with it. I haven't heard of any.
We'll ask her specifically
we'll
in
check
the next
out.
couple of days or so.
What did we give to Richard? We gave him,
Oh, we got.
We volunteered you
stuff
for-
on
Oh,
you.
for the raffle table,
What am I volunteered for?
for the
now?
raffle table, I
raffle
think.
table
A
at the.
raffle table?
You weren't here,
All
so,
right.
you know.
Well, I'm gonna sell
you got
tickets.
the last thing that was
Oh,
left.
they'll give them away.
Give them away? Oh, raffle. Oh, well, that shouldn't be a problem at all, I
Punch
have to say.
You gotta punch the card.
All right.
Yeah, so we decided, David's gonna do the environmental, Nicole's gonna do recreation, Linda agricultural, Jeff will do the positive feedback, Ed, the improvement station, Michelle will do sign in and get the food, which we'll set up, and then Richard will do the raffle station.
Okay. Sounds like a plan.
Okay. And Danny will do the intro.
The idea that we discussed with the raffle was you go to a minimum of 2 of the stations and get Get 'em stamped.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're gonna have people at each of the stations and we'll do the same thing,
Yeah.
okay? All right, it sounds good. I mean, this is an opportunity for people to actually get together with something that's somewhat entertaining, enjoyable, and
Positive.
put all of
Yeah.
the override conversation behind them for a couple minutes.
And I'm gonna be the one to make sure that it's positive.
Okay.
Keep it positive.
You will enjoy this.
It says right here, you are gonna enjoy this.
Yep. If you don't, we don't wanna hear from you.
Only
And
po-
Nicole-
Only positive feedback.
Only
You
positive.
talk to your commission at all about their input into this plan, because we're kind of weak on the recreation component.
We have not met since the middle of January, I think.
Should we
We are
have a
currently
joint
on
meeting
hold.
with them would that help, or do you want to have them present their concepts to you and that you bring to us, or what would you like to do about that?
I mean, we can try and do a joint meeting together so that we can discuss what we've been talking about. We've just been talking about mostly trying to plan some events, because we know that a lot of open space is on hold and trying to figure out where to go recreation-wise, because we lack the space for it. And that's one of our biggest hurdles, is we lack the space
To do things,
do a genuine recreation program.
Right, exactly.
So we've been trying to brainstorm ideas for recreational events that are within our constraints. We wanted to do the winter festival, but due to several limitations and obstacles, we ended up not being able to do one. So after that, now we've been on hold until, I think, what is it, I think it's the talk of the override. I think that we're on hold until we find out what there is for
Right.
funds and whatnot going forward.
The Women's Club, thank you very much, has been collecting funds and trying to do something with the no-fund zone over here. Do we know what their number is yet, or, I see it out on the message board, $200 from so-and-so and $100 from here and there.
Not offhand.
I know the number at town meeting was, what, 379 or something like that?
I wanna say right now they've raised somewhere like $50,000-$60,000.
Oh, wow.
Great.
I could be over, let me see if I can pull it up, cause they post on their Facebook page several times a week or ish.
What we're doing right now too may open up more opportunities.
Sure.
We've just recently found
Exactly.
out with,
Yeah.
to help support that as well, so
Yeah.
that's a pretty substantial number.
That is a
Well, I mean,
substantial number. but-
Between three people, Ramco's pledged to donate $10,000.
Yeah.
One of the cannabis companies has pledged to donate $10,000, and then an anonymous $20,000 donation came in.
Wow.
Wow.
So right there, that's 40,000 that they
40,000?
either got pledged or they have raised and Ramco started paying towards their 10,000 pledge.
Yeah.
And then you couple that with like another 3,000 or 4,000, so they're probably close to 50,000, would be my guess. I mean, I'm
Well,
not keeping tabs on it.
Only scary thing is the number that was at town meeting was, I believe, was 379
Yeah,
or something
way
like
up there,
that.
yeah.
Well, I mean, we can use that money to leverage grants too, because a lot of grants
Right.
require
So
matches.
that-
Yeah.
yeah,
You
so
get
the-
3-to-1 match.
Does
you
that
know.
play into those three different concepts that, because
That-
that's in the same area?
That was
It-
gonna be one of
it
my
does.
questions, is that
Yeah.
gonna make that?
I mean, that's a legitimate question, I don't
Way more
know.
expensive.
Hope- You know,
Yeah, it does play into that, and so the 380 was a ballpark, estimate with, meeting a concept that, as it stands right now with, the rubberized matting,
Mhm.
that in of itself was $115,000,
Yeah,
$120,000.
that alone was almost a third of the overall
So,
cost from the quote they got.
You know, I think there's definitely things that can be done to change that around. We've talked to this designer and,
Mhm.
you know, if you have any of these features, with the playground that are at height,
Yeah.
you cordon off an area, you have to be able to absorb a 6-foot fall.
Mm.
That's what that material will do. There are alternatives. So outside of that area, there's an opportunity to use other materials that
Yeah.
are less costly.
But the only thing with that is part of the reason for redoing it is to get it has to be ADA compliant for the ADA grant.
Every one of these concepts are all ADA
ADA.
yeah.
compliant.
So there you go.
So our next meeting is April 5th, the first Wednesday of April. Can you ask your members if they would like to come, and if so, we'll schedule them in?
Good stuff, good stuff.
Any other thoughts?
Motion to
If no,
adjourn?
right, thank you, Ed.
Seconded.
All in favor?
A little bit of suspense there.